Chelsea beat Crystal Palace 3-1 in a game that saw the Blues come from 1-0 down to stun Crystal Palace with two late goals that sealed the victory. Crystal Palace are in a very toxic position, a team that is very proud in their history but is going through a very tough transition. They have a couple of injuries that are impacting them and are consequential to why they are at the bottom of the table. Now, if Crystal Palace are to get out of this mire, they're going to need to make a lot of quick decisions, most notably their managerial position. But anyway, guys, it's your boy Izzy. And if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that like and the subscribe button to let YouTube and everybody else know that you are enjoying this content. Now, what Crystal Palace are not enjoying is their time at the moment. The situation could easily get toxic. And one thing that I have had the privilege of is to view some of the comments that Crystal Palace fans had left in my last video. And you can tell that they care deeply about their club. Most of them are not really angry at Roy Hodgson, and they're not really angry at Steve Parish, but they are angry at the situation that they're in at the moment. A 3-1 loss to Chelsea is something that could happen. Chelsea are not a bad team. They are a team in transition. They have a lot of young players, some that are very promising and have underdelivered on their abilities this season. Crystal Palace are also in the same position. They have a lot of promising young players, some of which have not been available so far in the recent run of fixtures. So some such as Eze and Olise, who will possibly get bigger moves to other teams eventually. But what Crystal Palace fans want and what they expect to see is a team that is at least pushing and striving to get them up the table. A team that understands that they have been a Premier League team for almost a decade now, and they should be doing a lot better than where they are. And so what I read is that most of their fans are not mad at Parish or Roy Hodgson, but the situation that they're in. And most of them are not really throwing vitriol at the team either. And from the few conversations that I've had with some Palace fans, they just want to see something that shows progression, especially since they look at the other teams such as Brighton, who I know they hate with a passion, but Brighton or West Ham and even Wolves this season, who have shown some nuances in trying to get a different style of play and progression in their team. So when this game began and Jefferson Lerma was able to smash a wonderful shot beyond Petrovic, a lot of hopes were probably raised, and they were looking at this as quite possibly being able to take down a team that they've lost, I think, 11 consecutive games to in recent past, and quite possibly change the trajectory of how their season is looking. And Crystal Palace were well worth their lead. They played well in the first half, defensively speaking. They held Chelsea to no shots on target, which was interesting to see. But you almost always felt as though Chelsea had the ability to change the course of this game. And in the second half, they did it almost right after the kickoff when Conor Gallagher, somebody who had made Crystal Palace fans smile and shine for a little bit in his previous spell as a lone player there, when he was able to give Chelsea a way back into this game. At that point, they would try to keep Chelsea at bay for the rest of the second half. And Chelsea did have their chances, and it wasn't without saying that Crystal Palace also had an opportunity to take this game. And whenever you have dicey games such as these, it just takes one moment to swing everything in one side's corner. And Chelsea were able to be the team to profit off of that when Conor Gallagher was able to score his second goal just after 90 minutes. It was very hard on Crystal Palace, who had defended valiantly and who had tried to give their fans something to show at the end of this game. And while they threw a lot of players on towards the end of the game in an attempt to try and get the game back level, they were caught off guard, and Enzo Fernandez was able to score his second goal in as many games. For Chelsea, this is a good thing because it shows their ability to recover in games. They have a good recent record against Crystal Palace, so it wasn't unexpected that they won this game, and they won it 3-1. The thing that's going to make Mauricio Pochettino a lot happier about this game is the fact that they showed a fighting spirit. This is now another game with a victory, and they're in good preparation for their Carabao Cup final against Liverpool, and they could hopefully take this result on to the Manchester City game, where they are going to expect a very stern test from Manchester City. City are trying to defend their title, so this is not going to be an easy game in any respects to Chelsea. What they need to do is probably hunker down and expect for this to be a long 90 minutes of defending. But if they're able to show anything as they did in the reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge, they might be able to get something out of this. It's very unlikely because Manchester City just have that look right now with Kevin De Bruyne, who loves to go and terrorize his former team, and he's back scoring and assisting at a crazy rate right now. And with Erling Haaland back in the goals as well, it's going to be a very, very long 90 minutes for Chelsea. But on Crystal Palace's side, I thought that they were well worth the 1-1 draw, especially by the time it ticked on to 90 minutes. But my hope is that it doesn't get toxic now, because it's very easy for these types of conversations to devolve into a Hodgson out and a Parish out. There are some gaps in the Crystal Palace story, and I'm pretty sure most of the fans understand that for a club that is as proud as Crystal Palace, they do stand a chance. And if they are able to at some point get Eze and Elise back, there are still a lot of games, enough for them to be able to turn this around. I am clueless as to whether Roy Hodgson is going to remain as the manager. It's looking untenable now because they need to change direction. They need to change their course. And with managers like some of my subscribers have suggested, such as Steve Cooper out there, could be able to take them out of this position. Roy Hodgson's position is looking very, very tough at the moment. It would be hard to see somebody of his history and resume and reputation go out in a very poor fashion. But unless these results change soon, Steve Parish and the rest of the Palace board are going to have to make a change soon. I just hope that things get better for Crystal Palace, because they have provided some very interesting moments since they got promoted. Who can forget Christian Bull? Who can forget, their victories, even against Arsenal with Sam Allardyce, some of their escapes recently. So it would be hard to see Crystal Palace go down, and I just hope things change for them in the near future. But anyways, it's your boy Izzy. Thank you for watching this. I just thought that I'd share my thoughts on this game. Chelsea are on the up and up, and if they're able to bring in the same confidence that they had in their last two games, especially that Aston Villa win, which was a very, very good victory, then maybe they might be able to stand a chance against Manchester City. That's going to be a very tall order for them, because Manchester City are looking very, very threatening right now. And I would not like to be going to the Etihad with Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland in the mood that they're in right now. As for Crystal Palace, the hope is that they are going to be able to somehow stabilize their season, because if they don't, they are looking nervously over their shoulder with the likes of Luton and Everton, who have had a good season despite their 10-point deduction, trying to claw their way out. But anyway, guys, it's your boy Izzy. Until next time, peace.